What does it truly mean to serve? Is leadership about power or about responsibility? Welcome to Your Stewardship, a compelling new radio program that shines the spotlight on individuals in positions of service and the impact they've made or are still making on the people they serve. From public officials to community leaders, from the health sector to education and beyond, we ask the tough questions. Have they been accountable? Have they delivered? Have they truly served? This is more than just a conversation. It is a moment of reflection, transparency, and truth. Join us as we explore real stories, real challenges, and real outcomes, because stewardship is not just a title, it's a duty. Your stewardship, service, accountability, and impact.
Good day and welcome to Your Stewardship, a program where leadership is placed under the microscope. My name is Remy Allen. Today's guest is a special and respected traditional ruler whose reign has spanned over 2 decades. Since ascending the throne in 2003 as the Jegun of Idepe in Okitipupa, His Royal Majesty Oba Oba Idepe I has championed the peace, cultural preservation, youth engagement, and of course, community development. Beyond the accolades, today's conversation seeks to evaluate stewardship. Have the promises matched the performance? Has the community experienced measurable progress? How has the traditional institution adapted to today's reality? And what legacy is being built for generations yet unborn? Kabiesi, thank you for joining us on Your Stewardship. It is an honor to have you.
Thank you very much.
Good day. Also, Kabiesi, before becoming the Jegun of Idepe, who was Michael Oba Idepe?
Yes, I am His Royal Majesty Oba Michael Oba Idepe, the Jegun of Okitipupa. I ascended the throne of Jegun of Okitipupa on the 14th of May 2003. And then before then, I worked for about 10 years in one of the commercial banks in Nigeria and in Lagos. And thereafter, I also worked in a private conglomerate then, we call it Banilos, a group of companies, of which I was the head of a Banilos motor division of that company. That is from 1998 to 2003. That is when I worked in that Banilos group of company. It was from that place that I now assumed the throne. And then my parents, like my father, is from ruling house in the Okitipupa, while my mother is also from Araromia Yeka, and Princess too, from that area. And since ascending the throne, I thank God for what God has been using me just to do.
All right, Kabiesi, I know we'll get to that where you'll be able to tell us the things you've been able to do. But looking back at your childhood, what experiences shaped your philosophy of leadership?
Yes, the experiences I had when I was young. I schooled in one of the rural schools there. We call it Methodist School. Araromia Yeka, that is my mother's, place of birth. And then my father and my mommy Like I said, they were farmers into this, and then they were farming in that area of the community. We call it Igoran. And we were coming to school from that village to school, from Monday to Friday, But on Saturday like this, we come to town in Okitipupa here. And then on Monday again, we migrate back to our farmland. And then I was attending, but getting to primary 5 there. All my mates said, oh, they were leaving for another schools, elsewhere. And then we had a kind of a few people remaining, and I decided to say, okay, let me come to Okitipupa and finish my school. That's where I now go back to Methodist primary school, Oba Idepe, there, yes, to complete my primary 6. And then I finished it. From there, I went to modern school just for about 1 year, and then later on I gained admission to Stella Maris College, Okitipupa, and then I finished my WAEC then, or was WAEC certificate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in all of this journey, and apart from being from one of the royal house, did you always know that you'll become a king, or is it that life took an unexpected turn?
No, I never dreamt of it. I didn't know. But when I was young, I asked my father, when he said we are from, our family are domiciled in Oba Idepe there, and part of us are here. I said, oh. And I asked him, and then who are those people that, we are making, kings? And they say, you see, we are in the, we have royal blood in us. That is, it is just our family that is reigning there. Then we have Oba Ruben Akinlos Akindele, who, and then it's from my ruling house then. He said, you, that was the word of my father then, you can equally become an Oba in the future. And that word came to stay. You understand? So, but I never dreamt of it at all, that I would become a king, or I didn't know the idea that I should become one when the stool is vacant.
Yeah, especially when your father was never a king.
Yeah, exactly.
And he prophesied into your life.
Exactly.
And it happened.
It happened.
Okay, while you were sharing your early childhood experience with us, you mentioned the fact that you once worked in a bank.
Yeah.
And you mentioned another company
Exactly.
where you worked. So how did your professional experience prepare you for this traditional leadership?
Yeah. When I was in the bank, there are we have some working places like this that, the politics around that place is just like, politics of Nigeria at times. Yeah, as micro as that will be like this, we have a lot of politics. The same thing, that is when I was in the banking sector. Also, when I was in this Banilos, the same thing, played out. And I was heading a large number of staff there. The mechanical aspect, that is the mechanics, we have a very large workshop, and then we have a very mighty office in Abuja, then. And then at Okutemeta we have our showroom there. Our company was thriving, was making it big. It's a kind of conglomerate then, because we have what we call Royal Press, we have microfinance company, and then we have property, company also, and then the company was making it big during our own time somehow. But when I was called upon to come like this, I don't have any choice than to obey the call of my people. And then, like you said, when I was growing up, I saw a lot of people, climbing the ladder, ruling in the country. And I said, out of these people that are ruling, you understand, there is no, you can't get, any illiterate ones amongst them somehow. They are the educated ones. And then I said to myself that I have just to read and ensure that I make it in life through education. And I thank God that I really made it. When I finished my school cert, I taught for just 1 year, and I went to Federal School of Art and Science, Ondo, to have my HSC. And then when it was 2000 and 2002. Was it 2002? No, it can't be. It's not. It's not. It's
because you said it in 2003.
Yes, 2003. Yes. I went to University of Lagos. That's 1982.
Okay.
Exactly, 1982. And then I finished, because it was through direct entry. I finished 1985 then. I served at the then University of Ife. That was 1985 to 86 then, before joining the bank. And I worked for about 10 years then, before now coming to. So that, what I was trying just to say in essence was that those people shaped me. I saw women, then I saw Mrs. Oshomo in those days coming up as a woman, ruling as a minister. I saw a lot of people, all those Ebola Ige and Awolowo and so on and so forth like this. And then I said, I must read this book and then get educated so that one will become somebody in life.
Well, quite an interesting one there. For a man, Kabiesi, who didn't grow up in the palace, who didn't grow up amongst royals, how were you able to adjust to royalhood after ascending the throne in 2003?
Well, you see, I thank God for one thing. The way you are being taught by your parents. My parents, both of them, were just two kind-hearted, couples. They were good. They accommodate a lot of, people to themselves. At times, in those days when we were young like this, our assembly, extended family, they usually come just to stay with us in my father's house. And then by the time we cook like this, my mother does not, separate my food from any others. We eat in the same pot, and, feeding other people's, children, but we eat in the same pot. When the food is finished like this, my mother never reserved any food somewhere. Say, oh, maybe you are not satisfied or whatever, come and eat. No. And my father also, he can give anything, though poor, but the little he has, he can just render it somehow. And that kind of spirit, we got it, and then trying to strengthen it. By the grace of God, when I was coming up like this, I never liked anybody suffering, from my side love like this. And whatever I have, the little I have, when I just see, I just give it out somehow. And anything that involves maybe, wrangling, fighting, and then, to do something that may make other people, suffer or getting somehow, I just abstain from it. I avoid all those things. I want, life just to continue in a kind of a give and take, and then in a way that everybody will just be satisfied somehow.
Well, Your Majesty, when you ascended the throne, what were the visions you had for the people of Idepe people, and of those visions, which have been achieved and which have you not been able to meet up with?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, when this one takes me back to the time I was trying just to ascend the throne. There are a lot of challenges on the way. Even it's still ongoing, it's still persisting. because a lot of some people are still struggling, the stool with me and all the rest like that. But despite that, I have a lot of vision for the community, and I don't hesitate whatever that belongs to the community that the community wants like this. I always fight for it, and then I strive for it to ensure that we have it. But though we might not have it at all times somehow, making all those requests. But there is one thing that is burning in my heart, and that is, as you got here now, you found out this is just my own private home. It's not the community, palace.
It's not the palace.
It's not the palace. And that thing is not good enough for a community of this nature. You understand? And because Okitipupa has always been the traditional headquarters of this division, and to say that we don't have a common palace like this is a thing that is not, good enough for our own image. But currently, since I ascended the throne, I've been striving to get a land within the community, a land that is centrally located, a land that will not just be obscure or to be at the extreme of the community and within. And then we got one which our father reserved a very long time ago. And then they just give it to what we call SMU in those days to do their nursery. And then by extension, they planted the plantations there. And it's like, we gave it to the government then. That's how it looked. But the government did not pay us compensation on it, so it can still be reverted to us. And we equally gave some other lands, about 28 hectares outside that place we are talking about, still within the community too. You understand? Of which we have the NTA, we have some government offices, many other establishments. They are there right now at the other side of it. But this one is very enclosed, and it's nearby, we share boundary with the police station. So that place, I have been making efforts just to get that place secured for the community to build our palace. That place will just be enough for us to start something, and then expansion will come in the future, for a convenient, and then a palace that we call a kind of legacy palace this time around, because that place is the expanse of land is enough for all those things sort of. And then we have the template, we have the plan that what we are going to do in future in that area is there. So I'm still waiting for the approval of Mr. Governor to release the land somehow, since we have given it to them in the first place, free of charge. But when we are using it this time around, whatever government wants to use anything for them is for the public interest. Palace also is something of public interest this time around.
Kabiyesi, so are you saying the kings before you also ruled from their private homes?
Exactly, that is it.
There had never been a palace
There
for
has
kings.
never been a common palace where others will inherit. At least I am the 18th Jegun of Idepe Okitipupa. So
It's about time.
yeah,
It's about time.
it's about time.
All right, so you are known for advocating peace, which you have also said that you're a peaceful person.
Yeah.
You don't like anybody being sad where you are. You like things to go peacefully. So how do you measure success in maintaining peace in your kingdom?
Yeah, one can measure success by the way you lead. At times you might see a lot of provocation, and then that provocation, if you say you want to act as you are being provoked like this, sometimes it can lead to something else sort of. But despite the way people provoke me at times just to take some drastic action somehow, I calm it down somehow, and then At the end of the day, a lot of people are praising me for that, you understand, because otherwise things will have gone very, very bad within the community. I don't want the community to be painted, black, you understand, because of, one issue or the other. And then if you can just notice, sometimes ago in the year 2020, when we have EndSARS like this, in fact, that day is one of the days that, I regretted it happened in my domain. You understand? Because a lot of havoc were wreaked by the hoodlums, by all these, miscreants and or whatnot like that. They use that avenue just to loot the council, the police station, the court, and so many, even some individual houses that time. You understand? And then, since that time, if anybody is running his head that they want to protest or do anything within the community, I will never allow it somehow. Because we are still smarter from the problem that thing, brought up somehow. The court is yet to be fully renovated. You understand? At Ikabe, sort of. Though it's within this another community, but notwithstanding that fact, it's still Okitipupa, environment somehow. We have to work it together. We paid. I myself, I know my own contribution towards, bringing it up the other time. Even the police station, the area command somehow. Thank God we have one of our senators that time who built the divisional police station for us. That's Senator Tofuwomo then. So that is just about all these things sort of. So I'm trying as much as possible, like you are saying, to let peace, rule within the community.
And Kabiyesi, you've reigned for over 2 decades now.
Yes.
And despite the challenges you mentioned earlier, people still struggling the throne with you and all that. Can you point to 3 initiatives, or projects that the people of Idepe have benefited from you?
Yes. Number one, I have a lot of, my youth, you understand, that are in many places. And through the efforts of God Almighty and my very humble self somehow. And they are in very various places as of today. Youth empowerment like this is very, very dear to my heart, because when you don't empower the youth somehow, they will become something else. Sort of. And then the other aspect is education. Education, wherever I go, I preach education. And even those market women, the farmers like that, I told them I always use my own as a kind of case study. You understand? My parents are poor peasant farmers. I told them in gathering like this, I am not ashamed of that, to say that anywhere. You understand? Because people say, you understand? So I usually tell them, look, your children, they are your future. And this your future, I want to build this community, to build this state, and to build the nation somehow. How do you do that? It's by giving them education somehow. If you deprive them of education somehow, they will become something else. Because àwọn àgbà náà ló tó ń pa lówe, wọ́n ní ọmọ tí a ò tọ́ òun ló máa gbé ilé tí a tọ́ data. You understand? So by so doing, I always assist in many ways just to see that a lot of our youth or children are educated. That advocacy, I'm doing that always somehow. Because if you go to some other countries like this, then education is their target. Immediately they educate their children like this, you will not see all this kind of things we are witnessing in this exactly. So Education is one. And then I've talked about education, I've talked about employment, and then to influence people and even government to come and do a lot of things in our community. In fact, people are saying that during my time, a lot of we have a kind of dramatic change in the outlook of the community, okay, by the grace of God somehow.
Right. Talking about government, we know that traditional rulers have limited constitutional powers.
Yes.
So how have you been able to navigate this limitation while pursuing developments?
Yeah, you see, there are one thing is that Obas, you don't have party. We don't have party. What I mean, Oba that is quite very reasonable has just to do. I mean, it is the government of the day that Oba must follow somehow. You don't need to have say I belong to party A or party B. Any government that is just on the throne, on the side position, you have just to give all of your support to that government, so that you can get something from that government to your own community somehow. And that is how we have been navigating that by the grace of God somehow.
Okay, Kabiyesi, looking back, is there any decision you would have handled differently, or are there promises you made that circumstances prevented you from fulfilling?
Yes. In fact, like I am saying, this issue of palace we are talking about, you understand, would have been better handled very long time ago. But because of all these circumstances, the unrest, no rest of mind, all manner of things like that, that one hampered my own way of bringing all those things to fruition this time around somehow. And that project is dear to my heart. As we get there, in fact, as you see this so-called palace, which is because it's wherever Oba is, even if you are in a hotel room anywhere, that is the Oba's palace, yes, as at that moment. So this is my own palace, yes. Palace of Jegun of Okitipupa. This place, I think, is good enough for me just to say somehow, to stay. You understand? But I want a legacy where other Obas will not strive, to say they will have just to build their house before they come on board somehow. And that place, wherever I do, another Oba that comes, we continue just to build on that. We continue to build on that until, in fact, ilé Johnson akin cotton títí láéláé là ń kọ́. You understand? So also palace somehow.
All right, so Kabiyesi, in October 2024, you hosted the senior officers of the Nigeria Customs Service during a courtesy visit,
okay,
that is aimed at strengthening cooperation with host communities.
Oh, yeah.
So beyond the ceremonies that happened on that day, what tangible benefits has that engagement brought to the people of Idepe?
Yes, thank you. That engagement, one of our illustrations, built a befitting immigration office in the Okitipupa here, of which even the Comptroller General sent the state controller to come and represent him in the whole ceremony that we did. It was deemed, seriously that time. And in our own request, we asked the government, the Comptroller General, that there must be a kind of passport office here, where, because we have about 5 to 6 5 local governments around this place that are traveling most times and everything, we don't need to go to Akure, we don't need to go to, even that of Ileluji is recent somehow. We don't need to go to Akure, some of us go to, elsewhere. We can domicile that thing here. We have the office here, it's good enough. So we have written. In fact, I've written to the Controller General, of which we routed it through the controller in Ondo State here. In fact, they were so happy receiving our letter, and they said they will take it up, and then we are still trying to follow it up somehow. We will continue to follow it up even through the Minister of the Interior to help us accelerate that, so that it happens.
Kabiesi, we know that insecurity in Nigeria now is a big issue because everyone is afraid for his or her life. You want to take our journey, you are scared. I must say that on our way here, my boss brought up, we talked about it, that that kind of a thing. But he said security is okay around here, that we can go. So what progress have you made, and how has your administration improved security within your domain?
Thank you very much. You say security.
Yes.
The issue of security is not something, your strategy. You don't, say it, in a public domain. But I know we are working assiduously towards, warding off this kind of insecurity in our area. We are not doing it as a community alone, but we are doing it as a nation. That is, a Kale nation. You understand? We collaborate. We do our meeting. In fact, we have security committee amongst our we Oba somehow, and then doing some things, both traditional, both conventional, everything like this that we are trying just to do, engaging our people, people that we say maybe vigilante, maybe the hunters, and then collaborating again with the law enforcement agencies also. So I think that is just the little I can tell you about that. So,
since you don't want to spill much.
Exactly.
People admire the glamour of royalty, but few understand its burden.
Yeah.
What is the heaviest burden you carry as the Jegun of Idepe?
You see, the heaviest burden is how my people can be emancipated, from the burden of maybe poverty, lack, and then getting job for their children, and like that.
Living a comfortable life.
To live a comfortable life somehow. That is just the burden that is bothering me, sort of. And then, and this one, I'm sure, is not peculiar to Okitipupa alone, but it's a national issue. But at the same time, we are striving in our own within our own limitation, just to see that some of our people get employed, sort of.
Thank you. You're listening or watching Your Stewardship on Orange 94.5 FM and OSRC Television, depending on which of the platforms you're on. We have been speaking with His Royal Majesty Oba Michael Obatuga Adetoye, the Umbemi the first, the Jegun of Idepe, Okitipupa.
Yes.
We'll not go on a break. When we return, the conversation continues. Please stay with us.
What does it truly mean to serve? Is leadership about power or about responsibility? Welcome to Your Stewardship, a compelling program that shines the spotlight on individuals in positions of service and the impact they've made or are still making on the people they serve.
Welcome back. It's still your stewardship on Orange 94.5 FM. If you've just joined us, you can listen to us live on Radio Garden. Follow us on our Facebook page, Orange 94.5 FM. Instagram, Orange 94.5 FM Akure. On X, at Orange 945 FM. And on YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel, Orange 94.5 FM. You can also watch us on our sisters' social media platforms. That's OSRC TV Ondo on Facebook. Subscribe to our channel, OSRC TV Ondo on YouTube. On Moplex 720, Free TV 760. And I still have our guest, His Royal Majesty Oba Michael Obatuga Adetoye Ogungbemi the First, the Jegun of Idepe, Okitipupa, who is still very much with us. And some people, Kabiyesi, describe you as a resilient traditional ruler, while others have criticized some aspects of your reign. How do you respond to both bias, the praise and the criticism?
Well, depending on the divide in which you are, some people, no matter what you do, no matter the achievements or whatever, it amounts to nothing to them. They are born critics. That one is there. But there are some other legitimate criticism that people pass. When that one happens, yes, anyone that is really, one is not is not. I am not just. I don't have monopoly of knowledge of everything. You understand? When I do some things, my people will say, okay, I can do this thing, let's do it this way. I say, okay. And when you convince me like this, and then your argument is superior somehow, I have to follow suit, and I have just to, concur, and we carry on. And I don't do things alone too. I have my people. We have within the community, we have the security committee, and then in some area we have other committee doing some other things within the community, and that is how, because you can't, as a traditional ruler, you can't do everything on your own. You need people. That is why we have, these chiefs, high chiefs, and then female chiefs also. In the marketplace now, we appointed executives there. Anything that is going on in the market like this, they have just to respond, take charge, the people in the market. When it is getting out of hand, there, they can't just solve any problem or whatever. It is then they refer it to the palace. And then we have my chiefs and the high chiefs who will attend to all those things. So, and whatever we do too, a lot of people are still praising us, sort of. Now I have a court here. That is where we adjudicate, we arbitrate on all this minor or something like that, though not on criminal something which belongs to the police or whatever. So when we do all those things, my people here, they know my own standard. The standard is that I don't compromise. You don't anything, maybe bribery, corruption, or whatever like this is never, existing in that palace somehow. They don't need to see your face before they give their judgment. It is, how the case come. You understand, the way you present, and then we do our findings somehow, and then we rule somehow. That is why people are judging or trying just to say, praising, the people that are really doing something. That's an example. You understand, out of so many other things we are doing. How some people like this, when I assemble them like this, they are technocrats also. Within a minute like this, if I say, oh, help me do this job, do this, bring it, and then so that within, as I'm saying like this, he has shown out, a kind of template of what we want to do somehow, and then we move forward somehow. So some people, like I said, they will keep on criticizing one way or the other somehow.
No wonder the saying goes that you can never truly satisfy
Exactly.
everybody. So some people argue that traditional institutions are losing relevance. How do you respond?
Well, it all depends on the individual. Yes. At times when I look at some of our colleagues somehow, there's some things that they are doing the way they behave in the public setting and all the rest like this somehow. Even some of your chiefs, if they do that somehow, you too you'll be cringing somehow. That is just by the way. But be that as it may somehow, when you carry yourself, you understand, and then you don't do anything that is just undercut, sort of, either with the government, either with your people. Like, for example, you just get to a place like this, you grab the land, you say, this land, I have confiscated it, I'm going to use it, I'll do this, and you damn it somehow. In fact, you will lose your respect from that, that kind of, people, because it belongs to some people, except maybe there is a land that is earmarked for the community. You understand? And then even if that one is existing somehow, you as a KBC, you can't even override anything there. You have just to do it in conjunction with your cabinet somehow. So anybody that is just doing some things like this or any just anyhow somehow, people are watching. You may not know. People are watching what you are doing. If you think people are not watching like this, you are just deceiving yourself, sort of. So that is why, as much as possible, in my own case somehow, I'm representing an institution. You understand? And as long as I live by the grace of God, I have made a covenant. I will never do anything that will bring disgrace to this stool somehow in my own time by the grace of God.
All right, Kabiyesi, how do you balance tradition with the expectations of today's younger generation?
You see, wọ́n ní ilé láti ń kọ́ ẹ̀ṣọ́ ròde, àbí báwo la ṣe ń sọ ní ilẹ̀ káàrọ̀-o-jíire, ilé láti ń sọ ẹ̀ṣọ́ ròde. If you don't train your children or your child somehow, you will get a kind of a training that you yourself you won't like at the end of the day. For example, most of us are victims of those kind of a challenge which you are talking about, because circumstances made it. When I was in Lagos, we stay in Lagos, and then my children schooled in Lagos, and then because the heat was on here the other time, I didn't want them just to stay here. And later on, I decided just to take them to other good schools elsewhere, boarding house throughout. My children, all of them, English language, English all through somehow. And it was later I now decided to force it on them that you have just to continue to learn this by force. You understand? I mean, how can you just come here? You'll be speaking English to my kids and the high kids. What about the illiterate ones? You need to relate with them. So I think they are learning that one. So a lot of people did not take cognizance of this by trying to do that. You understand? They believe, my children, when they know how to speak good English like this, is everything. No, it's a borrowed language somehow. You understand? So we need to teach them. And then we need to teach them our culture of prostrating, by the male ones, and then kneeling by the female, ones somehow. But all these things are going out. But my words somehow, they know. I mean, I have taught them all these things. They know it sort of. So that is just that. So a lot of people, what they watch these days in the social media, is giving this Gen Z type, the orientation they are having today. If you say you want to teach them, before you know it like this, they can be on their phone from morning till evening, trying to search for or what not like that. Something those things that are not allowed. He's giving them that orientation somehow. It takes grace of God to see some of these children falling in line and then trying to learn all this culture which we are talking about somehow.
Traditions. Leadership demands accountability. Who holds the Jegun accountable?
Number one is God. That's number one. And then in our own traditional setting, our alale, because when you do something that is a kind of taboo within the community too, it has its own repercussion. You understand? Like me now, we are forbidden from taking dogs in our own Omojebu. You understand? If I say, oh, is it not just meat? Why should I just, why? I don't have anything that is forbidden. I just decide to take it somehow. It has its repercussion. That's just by way of culture. But again, that is why we have even in your family. If you do something that is so wrong, your family can just bring you down. They will say, oh, if I've gotten the example, Kábíyèsí, ìbà orí adé o, ẹjọ́, ẹjẹ́ agbé adé, ẹjẹ́ agbésẹ́gbẹ́, ìlẹ̀kẹ̀ gbogbo ẹjẹ́ agbésẹ́gbẹ́, ká jẹ́ family member, ẹjẹ́ abára wa sọ̀tọ̀. You understand? By so doing, they will try to ask you questions. If you are doing something that is wrong, you understand? They don't. By then, they will just, it's not in public domain, but within, you understand. So also, if you are doing some things that are very, very, very wrong, also in a larger setting, not your immediate family this time around, in the community like this, the high chiefs, the chiefs, they can come together. That Kábíyèsí, we have seen something that is not good enough. That you need to explain to us why this should be so. You understand? So one is accountable to the community, because we want a kind of good governance within our community, and then we don't want to do something that we make our royal father or their Oba to lose relevance, sort of. And by the grace of God, I have not been called upon just to account in any of this one that I am talking about, but it's something that I know, could be established or could come up if anybody is erring, or if any Kábíyèsí is erring. This one that I am talking about is not just about Jegun alone, but I'm talking as Kábíyèsí, even in Káàárọ̀-o-jíire this time around. So we have some about like this that these people just rose against, because of one thing or the other, which. But thank God, Saturday, we never do anything that will warrant that by the grace of God. The devil will never tempt me to do such.
Kábíyèsí,
yes.
Every crown is eventually laid down. When yours is someday placed beside those of your forebears, what will convince you that your stewardship of the Jegun stool was faithful, was fruitful, and of course worthy of remembrance?
Well, thank you very much. I have earlier told you some things that are related to this question. Myself, the moment I was coming like this to ascend the throne, I made a covenant with my God that I will be so faithful with my people, and then do whatever is in my capacity to alleviate their problems, and then to see that I carry my people along in everything that I'm doing, or that I will be doing then when I made the covenant. And then since that time, I have never wavered, or I have never betrayed that covenant within me. I didn't make it with anybody, but within me and my God.
And your God.
Yes. So, and I am striving so much to uphold that tenet, and to God be the glory. People are acknowledging, you understand, the way I have been ruling and reigning within the community, and then what I have been doing that is bringing a kind of good fortune to the community, and then the developmental strides that is really being witnessed within the community. And then we are just starting by the grace of God, and then we will continue just to witness more of it, sort of. And I, as much as possible, that's why they find that I have a lot of people that are still making a kind of trying to ruffle the weather. I play down all those things in my own lifestyle, sort of, so that I get along with everybody. I keep saying that the four corners of this community, that is the domain, is for the reigning Jebu, which is His Royal Majesty, Papa Michael Opatuga Aditoye, as of today, by the grace of God. I don't know of tomorrow. It is only God that has tomorrow, you understand? So that is just the way it is.
So finally, what message do you have for the sons and daughters of Idepe at home and in the diaspora?
Yeah, my message to them is that, you see, a community that develops somehow, it has the hands of the sons and daughters of that community, who participate or participated in the development. So I'm appealing to our sons and daughters, either within the country or outside the country, to come home and then invest. In the era of pay, whether there is one agenda somewhere or there somehow, the era is gone somehow. You understand? If you have your money, don't stack it in a country that is already developed, to develop it somehow. Bring it down here to develop your undeveloped community, and by so doing, I am sure the reward will be there, because we have a very great market for whatever you are producing in this country. Large market for it, sort of. So, and I'm appealing to them that they should come home and invest, develop their community, and by so doing, somehow, God will continue just to assist them again, or to go higher and higher and better also. We have some of them that are really doing that now. A lot of them coming home to invest somehow. I have been doing some commissioning with some people, asking me just to say, to help them meet some people who can give them, expanse of land to invest. So, and I thank God for that. It's yielding fruit. If, assuming there is a kind of, unrest or problems here and there somehow, they wouldn't have, they wouldn't have said exactly. They will come home.
All right, thank you very much, Kabiyesi, for sharing your visions and going on this reflection journey with us. Thank you to everyone for joining us on this edition of Your Stewardship, where leadership is placed under the microscope, not to condemn, but to encourage responsibility, celebrate excellence, and of course, inspire better service to humanity. On behalf of the production crew, I am Remy Allen, your host, saying, let's do this again next time. And I won't go without saying special thanks to the producer, Femi Ayekomilobo, associate producer, Obichukwemeka Oti, and of course, the other crew members who have made this an important edition of the program possible. Until next time, bye for now.